Hey, what's up? It's Monday, October 28th. Another day, another Morpheus thing happening. So, what's going on today? Let's find out. I'm pretty excited about every single day something cool happening in the Morpheus ecosystem. So, today, let's say you're cruising along and you see this cool little tweet. You're like, hey, what's up with that? Morpheus is now live on Aerodrome. So Aerodrome is a DEX platform on Base. Base is one of the many chains that Morpheus is supported on, and they just went live. So let's say you're seeing this and you're like, oh, that's super cool. Well, there's incentives for providing liquidity. That's pretty cool. But maybe liquidity provision is just for those DeFi degens. And I don't know anything about that. Well, hey, it's not. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. I've done it a bunch of times. I've never actually used Aerodrome. So what I thought is I'd turn on my camera and figure it out along with you. So first thing we're going to do is check out the pool. So what a pool is, for those who don't know, in a DeFi, decentralized finance system, you've got two different, usually a pair of tokens that are provided within the pool. And that pool then now allows people to go from one token to the other token. So in this case, we've got wrapped Ethereum and Morpheus. So if you've got Ethereum and you want to buy Morpheus, you can do so within this liquidity, about $115,000, it looks like, uh, within this liquidity pool. Or if you've got Morpheus and you want to sell some to get Ethereum, you can also use this pool. And the individuals that are providing that liquidity get part of the fees, which in this case is 0.3%. So if we go over here to swap, we can actually do that. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's cool, but I've only got Ethereum, or I've only got Morpheus on, Arbitrum, where I'm in today, right? Well, that's the cool part here. Morlord.com has this chain transfer tool, which we're going to go ahead and try out right now. Because I've got some Morpheus tokens over on Arbitrum, and I'm going to move them over to Base, and then I'm going to go ahead and swap some of them for Ethereum. So I'll have some Morpheus, some Ethereum, and then we're going to put that in liquidity pool. I'm going to show you how all that works. So we scroll down here to chain transfer. We make sure that we're on the right network right up here. So if you're on the wrong network, just switch to, in this case, Arbitrum. And it says here you got a current balance of 983. And I'm not going to go to Ethereum, but I'm going to go over to Base. Use the same address. That's fine. And let's say we'll do 100 more tokens. And my plan would be I'll sell half of them and use, 50 more and 50 more worth of ETH and add that to the liquidity pool. So we'll go ahead and hit transfer. Now, I actually did a video on this a while back of how you used to have to do this directly through the smart contracts, which is kind of a little more difficult, a little more challenging. This makes it much easier because you can just do it right through morlord.com. But let's say this whole interface goes down. The whole amazing thing about blockchain self-sovereign control is that you can do this directly talking to the smart contracts. Super cool thing about these layer twos is they're really, really cheap. This would cost quite a few bits of money on another chain, but on an L2, it's super, super easy. So I'm using a ledger, which I highly recommend, a hardware wallet. So now I'm signing the message here in my wallet. And there we go, accept. You have to have blind signing turned on for that to work. But once you go ahead and transfer it over, it says transfer complete. And then if we want to double check that, we can actually go right into our MetaMask wallet and make sure it actually works, right? That's important. While that's loading up, you can see it says here 886, so kind of kept track of that. Double check I'm on Arbitrum now. That's cool. Let's go ahead and switch over to Base. Actually, we're still, so here it says pending. There you go, confirmed. So now if I look on tokens, 886. So I'm 100 tokens down, which is correct. Click over on Base, click on tokens, and let's see what we got. Oh, there we go. Still switching. Loading tokens. Going a little too fast on my computer. All right. So we got to import a token. So that's it. Oops. Refresh the list. Let's see if it pulls it up. Okay, so we have to import a token. So that's kind of cool. Okay, how do we import a token? Well, if you remember from my last video, we're going to go to the Git book. There are many places where you can figure this out. We're going to go ahead and go to the Morpheus Git book, and we're going to look at the verified links, which include contract address. Super important to get the right contract address for the right chain so we can import that token. So go right here, look at smart contracts. It's one of the reasons I like doing kind of videos like this, because you kind of pick up on stuff that you didn't really know you needed to know. Like, oh, how do I import a token? How do I figure that out? Well, here's how you do it. So go right here, You got that right here. The MOR token address. Go ahead and click on that. That'll load up on Basecamp, which you can, again, just verify it's got activity, it's trusted, a lot of people using it, it's the right address. So you can either copy it directly from the URL right there, or, which most people do, is go right here and click this little button there. I got to wait for the page to load, though. I got a new laptop coming in soon. This one's a little bit slow. So when I'm recording a video, it's like, I think I can. But once we get that address, we're going to go ahead and copy it here. And you can see there's some activity on it. Looks like the legitimate contract. Everything's good. Got total supply, all that. So now we're going to go back into our wallet. Now that we've copied the address. And we're going to add that address and just make sure that our 100 tokens are where we expect them to be. Oh, loading. That's what you get for a 2017 computer. There we go. All right. So we're on base. Import tokens. Smash that in there. That's actually a custom token. There we go. Token address. Next. Yes, we want to import tokens. Let's see. Did we import our token? Let's try this. See, MOR is not listed, not the one we want. So let's see if we just do that. Let's try custom token. There we go. Now we click next. You have to tab out. There we go. Import. Hey, and there it is. It found our 100 MOR tokens. There we go. So we have successfully imported the MOR tokens. Now we're good to go. Let's go back to our liquidity pool. So in order to add liquidity, I first have to do a swap. So I'm going to go in here and I want to just swap my new Morpheus tokens, which are now available, 100 right there. And we're going to swap those for Ethereum because this particular pool is a Morpheus Ethereum pool. And let's go ahead and swap half of them. So we're going to swap 50 Morpheus tokens. And this will kind of tell us what's going on. You're going to get a minimum of 0.35 ETH. It's going to have a little bit of price impact. So yeah, 50 might be a bit much to swap, but it's going to be all right. So first step is you have to allow more. And that basically tells your wallet, hey, I'm going to allow this smart contract to have access to my wallet in order to transfer this particular token. A lot of systems set it up so it just does the full max. It's like an infinite amount, so they full have control of your wallet, which I don't recommend. So I don't usually do max. Sometimes it defaults it with a big, gigantic number. Instead, I like to set it for exactly what we're doing. And today we're only transferring 50, so we're only going to do 50. And again, because it's an L2, the fees are super, super small, which is awesome. Go ahead and confirm that. You have to have blind signing turned on in your ledger if you're using a hardware wallet, which again, I always recommend using a hardware wallet. There we go. Now we're going to swap. So I'm going to swap that MOR for ETH. Let's see how that goes. So the price impact is a little bit above my slippage setting. And so we're going to see if this is going to work. From that, back in the hardware wallet. Accept that. And now we got to wait. All right, says we swapped. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead and double check our wallet here. Another says available, 50 available. So we're just going to double check it in our wallet as well. All right, so that one's pending, but we go over to tokens. And there we go. We got 0.36 tokens. We got 50 more. Looks like that worked out just great. So now go back to liquidity. And we're going to deposit liquidity. And we're going to have to find the right pool. Might be good to go ahead and use the link from the tweet just to make sure it's the right one. But we're going to actually just see, because Morpheus has been whitelisted as a token, we can go ahead and just find it directly. So we're waiting for the on-chain data to load. Here we go. So first token is going to be Morpheus. Second token is going to be Ethereum. And there we go. So it looks like there's two different pools. Quite interesting. So this is an important example of stuff you want to pay attention to. So somebody must have added this one at some point, and you can see there's just like $1,000 in there. But this one's got $230,000 in it. This is the right one that we want to be using. So we're going to go ahead and click new deposit here. And we're going to swap that there and say, yeah, put in 50 Morpheus tokens, and it's going to fill the equivalent Ethereum needed. I've got 3.6 available. We're going to put in 3.57. That looks good. And again, we're going to allow the contract, and this is going to be the staking contract, allow it to be able to work on our wallet. And this is going to be pretty much the last step. So what we walked through was moving tokens from one network to another network. We moved our tokens from our Morpheus tokens from Arbitrum over to Base using morlord.com. And then we also did a swap. Once we got it over to Base, we did a swap in Aerodrome. And then once we did the swap, we came back to deposit half of those tokens that we didn't, the ones we didn't swap with the Ethereum we swapped to, and we're going to deposit that into the pool. So I click on deposit, that's going to pop up. And so what does this mean? When I'm depositing, I'm literally sending tokens out of my wallet to be a liquidity provider for this specific pool over on Aerodrome Finance. So these tokens go into a smart contract, meaning there's no like human being sitting there going, whoa, ha, 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 now I have Luke's tokens. They're actually in a smart contract. No one has control of them. If you trust the platform, you trust the smart contracts that you're interacting with, then you have confidence that there's no bank, there's no government, there's no central authority that can just come along and take your funds. They're essentially still your funds. You still own them. You've just basically put them into a smart contract. So you notice my available Morpheus should be down to 0. So let's go ahead and, stake your deposit. That's another thing you can do. Let's take a look at that. Actually, I'm not as super familiar with staking, but I think if you stake your deposit, the rewards you get allow you to vote within the Aerodrome system, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead and wait for this page to finish loading. We're going to click over to the dashboard as well, but let's go ahead and refresh the page. And so hopefully I should see on the dashboard, it should show me that I have some tokens installed in liquidity pool. I'm going to click on dashboard and see what we got here. So again, just to walk through that process, we are providing liquidity to a decentralized exchange where other users can then swap from one token to the other, and you can earn fees as they're swapping back and forth. Now, something to keep in mind if you're providing liquidity is something called impermanent loss. Essentially, what that means is you have no idea what the value of the different tokens are going to be. As one token goes up, another token goes down, people are going to swap in between them. And, if one token crashes, basically what that means is people are going to be trying to get out of that token. They're going to be buying up the other token, selling the other token. And so you might end up with more of a token that has less like US dollar value, let's say. It only really matters if you're comparing against US dollars. But ultimately, it's good to keep track of, what was your total value as you went into the pool? What's the total value coming out? So you can see here, it's unstaked, but we have our wrapped Ethereum. We have our Morpheus. Let's go ahead and learn what staking is. We're going to click on stake and see what that offers us. Usually the platforms like to incentivize people for staking their rewards, staking in there so that they have liquidity that's kind of like going to stick around for a little bit. And often it's like how much you want to stake for how long you want to stake will determine how much rewards you get, and also how much governance. Sometimes you can use that for voting to increase more incentives to the pool you're working on. And here's another example where it's kind of deciding, okay, how much of my liquidity pool token do I want to allow? In this case, these are my liquidity pool tokens. It's a way of keeping track of the tokens that I own in the liquidity pool. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that. Do some signing here. There we go. And I'm going to stake 100%. I'm waiting for that to load. All right. So I'm sending my liquidity pool tokens to the staking contract. And now they are staked. So that's it. I'm going to stop my share here. Hopefully that made a little sense anyway. You can always pause the video and kind of walk through again little steps, but it's really not that complicated to work in the DeFi space. You know, you have to learn about the different token contracts. You saw that we had to import a token to our wallet at one point. You have to understand the different networks that are involved. We have networks like Ethereum, Base, Arbitrum. And then when it comes to the DeFi contracts, you have to figure out which ones are trusted, which ones you can use. Once you figure all that stuff out, you can figure out which liquidity pools are available, and you can swap between the tokens in those pools, or as we did, you can provide liquidity to both ends of that pool. So yeah, little complicated, little confusing, but like I tell everybody, it's just like driving a car. If you've ever driven a stick shift, probably most of the people are not as old as me, so that's not a thing. But for those who are, you remember it was really freaking stressful and dangerous and what's going on, right? Especially if you're up on a hill, you're trying to like use the e-brake, and stick shift was difficult, right? And then after a while, you're not even thinking about it. It's just like boom, 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 no big deal. It's muscle memory. The more and more you do it, the more comfortable it gets. So for me to just turn on the camera and use a DeFi platform like Aerodrome that I've never even seen before, never really used, and figure it out because they're all pretty much the same, it's not that complicated. It just takes some practice. So I used a good amount of funds. 50 Morpheus means a lot to me. And I sold them in order to demonstrate the liquidity pool. I think they're going to be worth a lot. So I'm going to hold on as many as I can, but I wanted to do that for this video. If you're going to be just using a small amount, that's what I'd recommend, especially to start, just so you can get familiarity with how to swap, how to provide liquidity, how to stake, how to unstake, how to withdraw your liquidity, and all of that. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Shout out to the Morpheus community doing awesome stuff like this. It's like people trying to do educational stuff to explain what's going on, can't even keep up. And that's an awesome thing. So hopefully you're having a great day. Talk to you later.